Middle Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the music, movies, and culture of Generation X.
What is up, slackers? It is time for another episode of the Stuck in the Middle podcast. I am your host, Jason Eck, and you might be able to hear that my voice sounds a little different this week. I don't know if it's the pollen, I don't know if it's a cold, but I do know that I'm stuffy and I don't sound the same. I was kind of hoping that when I got sick like this, I would have that whole smelly cat Phoebe Buffet thing easy for me to say, but it doesn't quite sound as cool as Phoebe. Nevertheless, we are picking up where we were last week. Another installment here with Justin Piccirillo, and we dig in some more to some of the bands that we enjoyed, some of the concerts that we went to, and just a continuation of that talk, which is just a couple of old friends hopping on to Zoom and having a great conversation and catching up. I hope you enjoy it.
One of the things I wanted to talk about as well was other concerts that we went to.
I know the one you're bringing up.
Lollapalooza, 1993, Saturday, July 14th at the Quonset State Airport in North Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, yeah.
So one of the things is, eventually, if this podcast gets any traction, there's eventually going to be people that I work with who hear this. So you're going to be like, what? This guy who dresses up in a tie all day and short hair and all that. So it is, were there four of us or just three of us? I know it was Nicole. It was me.
It was four of us. It was Nicole, you, me, and Kurt.
Kurt Gannon.
Yeah.
That's right. Holy cow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So we drive there, and I'm not sure. I think my car troubles began in the very long line as we were trying to get into the airport. So if anyone who doesn't know about Lollapalooza, massive, huge shows, basically stadium shows, but oftentimes without actual stadiums. So it's on an airfield, created by Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction. This was the third iteration of it. We're in these long lines, and I'm driving my 19-whatever Ford Escort GT, the sporty model. It was very manly. And this thing begins to overheat while we're in this line. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So it already becomes stressful. So there's also the fact that I decided that it would be hilarious if I went ahead and wore so Nicole, who went with us, was at that time my ex-girlfriend, a gold skirt with combat boots. I don't know what color my hair was at this time, and I decided the best thing for me to do almost immediately upon arrival was go get my nose pierced. Now, that in of itself would have been just fine. And I think you know this, maybe not, but the opening act on the main stage was Rage Against the Machine.
The Machine, yeah.
Who I loved at that time. And within seconds of the pit opening up, I take an elbow straight to my brand new nose piercing, which then sends this unbelievable spark of pain all up through my head. And I'm like, what just happened? This absolutely sucks. So I kind of stepped back away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my nose hurts so bad. And I watched the rest of the set. So here's where we have some different tastes in music, because it was the next band that you were more interested in. So because I was feeling so shitty from getting knocked in the face, I went and lied down during the next artist, which was Tool.
Yeah.
So that was my first few minutes of being at Lollapalooza. So what were your recollections of like the trip and going in there? Because, I mean, overall, I thought it was a great show by and large, but it was an interesting experience.
Well, let's see. Well, we'll go with Kurt. It's kind of here I got, one of my closest friends from the music end of it. And then, Kurt and I played on the same baseball team. So it was that was kind of fun for all of us to go. But more so what I remember is getting the turkey leg. Do you remember the turkey leg?
Like huge drumsticks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For $5. I remember like, oh my God, look at all the turkeys they must have killed to get all those or turkey legs. I remember that.
That wouldn't be at Lollapalooza now. It would be all like vegan drumsticks, and it's like we're not going to do that. I mean, it was tons of turkeys.
Yeah, but you know, I remember having a conversation with the artist for Alice in Chains, because remember they were on the bill too.
They were, yeah.
And the artist, the guy who drew the Dirt cover, or I forget which cover it was, maybe the Jar of Flies cover.
Yeah.
The guy that painted that. He had his own little booth. Remember, he had one hand. I don't know if you remember that. He had he had a robotic hand.
Wow,
and
that's crazy. I'm like pieces of me kind of remember that. That's so interesting. Go on.
He had a robotic hand, and I just remember picking his brain about what does he use for life models, and because he had all these people in these weird poses and. I mean, are you really hiring a model to do these weird poses? And he was like, no, I just go through magazines and I find a pose I like and I paint it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. All right. But I remember, I had him sign a few things. I have a few autographs of him here. I remember that very vividly. And then I do remember when Rage came on, I think Kurt and I stayed back a little bit. And I know you went off to the front, probably with Nicole. They put on a great show. I mean, I wasn't really a big Rage Against the Machine, but there was Dinosaur Jr. on that bill. Front 242, I think, was on that bill.
They were, yeah. Industrial band. I didn't love it. They toured with Anthrax a couple years later.
There was another band, right? I don't think it was Dinosaur Jr., but I think there was another band around that caliber. They were just working their way up, and they were on that bill too. But it was the last three. It was the Primus, the Alice in Chains, and Tool. Those were the three that I was just, to see, well, first, again, from a musician's point of view, to see My Name is Mud, Tim Alexander do those little parts, that was really, really cool to see that. And it was, to see him do it, it's a lot easier than, hearing it and saying, what the heck is going on? It's just straight eighth notes on the floor, Tom. I mean, it doesn't sound, it sounds a lot harder than it really is.
But it's less on top of it, and it's just the whole package.
Oh yeah, and it's less on top without a question, yeah. But Tool, when Tool was, they were on the, I don't think 46 and 2 was out yet. Or maybe it was. I forget what tour it was for those guys.
I think Rage and Tool were both the first, and yeah, Fishbone, yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot about Fishbone. That was the one that. Because they played Sunless Saturday. That was big.
Yeah.
I think that was the highlight of the whole day was seeing them play Sunless Saturday.
That was their closing track if the set list that I saw was accurate, and they just killed it. And the drummer, Fish.
Fish. Oh my God, it was. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I think again, you put that much talent on the stage, and I was always big into Tool and I was always big into Fishbone. I wasn't a big Primus guy, but to see them right there and that many people, and that was electric. It was really, really good.
There was another group that was on there too, Justin. It was Arrested Development. Yeah, they were.
All right.
And what's curious, that was the second time that I saw them. Neither time was necessarily on purpose where they were now I love hip hop. But I saw them at UConn with 10,000 Maniacs. 10,000 Maniacs in Arrested Development. Really odd, but a very college radio kind of concert.
Sure.
But then, they were on this show too. And if the set list and the actual order of artists is accurate, this is what they have here. And I think a couple of them are out of place, but Rage Against the Machine, Tool, Front 242, Fishbone, Arrested Development, Primus, and Alice in Chains. And Alice in Chains and Primus were actually, alternating headlining spots throughout that Lollapalooza tour as well. And I think, what is his name? Guitar player for Primus, I think, came out during Rooster.
Larry.
Larry,
what's his name? Larry.
Larry. Cousin Larry?
Larry.
Daryl and Larry. I gotta look it up now.
Like Larry Laurel or Larry.
Like you said, Larry.
Larry.
Yeah, normally, let's see. We have Larry Lalonde.
Yeah, Lalonde, that's it. I know. See, double L, I remember.
A lot of L's. Nickname Lur, not Lair. Lur. And of course, the rest of Primus. Let's see. Les Claypool, Larry Lalonde, Tim Herb Alexander. Yeah, that was the band. No, it was good stuff. They were very interesting because of the comedy elements. I think Primus sometimes gets missed. Well, Les doesn't get missed, but the band in general, I don't think gets the credit. But I look at it as no different of Zappa. I mean, Zappa had a lot of funny haha stuff, but my gosh, the musicianship was pristine. And it's like, why can't you have humor and fantastic musicianship? I don't know why those things have to be separate. It's like saying that Weird Al is an accomplished musician. He's
right.
The best accordion player there is.
That's right.
So any other recollections of the Lollapalooza 1993?
Yeah, I see. I knew there was another band. You're right. It was Arrested Development, and I totally forgot. I always remember there was another band, but I guess you're right. If I do remember right, again, I guess my memory is pretty good, but did Rage Against the Machine throw out something? Did they throw something into the audience?
I think Brad Wilk was always throwing stuff himself, like just anything.
I think De La Rocha threw something too. For some reason, I remember him like throwing this stuff. Were they books, Bibles? I don't know what they were.
No, that's Stryper. That's a different band.
No, but I really think that maybe T-shirts. I don't know.
Propaganda.
What?
It was propaganda. It was some kind of propaganda.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was. But I was looking at the side stage. I don't think we ever went over there, or at least I didn't. And I realized that so many bands that I discovered later on were playing on the side stage, and I'm like, you schmuck.
Like who?
Well,
I don't remember even a side stage being there.
So, the Flaming Lips, meh. The Verve, the Boo Radleys, the Frogs. Now, here's where it's interesting to me. Guided by Voices, Lamb Chop, Girls Against Boys, they became huge for a while. Roller Skate Skinny, Palace Songs, Stereolab, who I actually really, nice vibe with them, a lot of Moog organ. The Fushnikins, one of those first, rap groups that was doing all that triple time stuff. The Far Side, who were most known for their hit Your Mama. Shudder to Think, who I've come to appreciate so much later on, played the show. Luscious Jackson, also I thought really good. King Kong, Charlie Hunter Trio, Shonen Knife, also an amazing band. Blast Off Country Style, Souls of Mischief, and Maggie Estep. So we really missed out.
Where was the second stage?
So the main stage, I'm trying to north, south, east, west. I forget where we were. I just know that if you're looking at the main stage, the fence was immediately to our left. Yep. So to our right and in the back was where the side stage was.
Right, because there were the...
concessions were kind of in the middle, and then there were, the porta potties along the side, and the side stage was out back.
Wow, I never knew that.
Really missed out, and I'm looking at that lineup going, you could have seen some of these bands.
We're gonna phone Kurt and ask him what he remembers, because I totally spoofed. I didn't know there was even a second stage.
It's unbelievable. And I look at the lineup, and I'm like, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Now, did you ever end up going to any other Lollapaloozas?
No.
So
you know what? That one was. How do you top that one? I mean.
So the next time I went, and admittedly it's a band I loved, and that was the next year was when Smashing Pumpkins was the headliner. Oh. So I mean that was a pretty killer bill because it also had. You know what? You would have actually loved it because George Clinton was there with P-Funk All-Stars, and he came on just before the Beastie Boys. But George Clinton tearing it up, man. And I will just always remember. I mentioned your closet earlier in your collection of things. The cover that you had of the Maggot Head record, and you go, check this album out. And one, it looks freaky, it looks really strange, and then just killer stuff and Bootsy's on that, right?
Yeah, it's funny about you bring up George Clinton because when I was at Southern, he came.